Hello and hola. Welcome to Yoga with Chris. Today we're having a special Thanksgiving practice. And it's all about being grateful. And if you like to know how to practice an attitude of gratitude, stay with me until the end. Starting in child's pose, which means opening our knees mat width apart, bringing our big toes together, and if it's part of our practice, just letting our hips to sink all the way down as we were trying to sit on our heels, if it's possible. If not, we're just trying. Setting an intention for our practice to think about all the things we're grateful for as we focus on our breath. Our hands can stay on the sides of our head or the sides of our feet. It's our choice. Bringing our attention to our breath, inhaling through the nose, slowly and deeply, exhaling also through the nose, slowly and gently. We may feel how our ribs or our belly or even our chest expand as we inhale. And then to the opposite when we exhale. If it's part of our practice, if it's comfortable for our body, let's try to clasp our hands behind our back, interlacing our fingers. If for whatever reason we cannot reach that way or it's not comfortable, let's just with our fingertips, but resting our hands on our back, inhaling, exhaling, and once we are here, let's try to roll our shoulders back so we open our chest. I kindly ask you to consider leaving a donation through PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. Thank you. And that way, we can breathe deeper. After one more breath, let's release our hands and bring them overhead, lengthening our arms. The fingertips are trying to escape from our shoulders, opening our fingers wide like starfish hands. And then lifting our tailbone just a little as we get ready to open our eyes if we close them at the beginning. Slowly bringing our knees hip width apart, tucking our toes, and then lifting our tailbone, lifting our hips. This is our puppy pose. If we've been into yoga, we know downward facing dog. So it's a modified version, it's a supported version with our knees on the mat. But the same, we're still pushing the mat to the front and trying to tear it, pushing it with our toes, with our feet to the back, even with our knees. Inhaling and leaning forward. Aligning our wrists right underneath our shoulders. Pushing the mat away from us and taking 2 rounds of breath here. Avoiding to collapse on our shoulders, just pushing the mat away from our chest.
These minutes on our mat are ours only, and it would be great if we utilize them fully.
And after our second breath, let's bring our left foot between our hands. And if we need to use one of our hands in order to bring the foot between them, it's totally valid. We can do it that way. For some people, it's very easy, just go straight. For some of us, we may use our hands to bring it to the front. Our toes, the rear foot, our toes are still tucked. And either way, we can walk our hands on our leg in order to straighten up our torso, or we can just sweep our arms up, inhaling, tucking our tailbone as we were trying to point it toward the mat to feel the stretch in our rear flexor, hip flexor. Exhaling, arms to the front, down, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling last time, exhaling down to the front, and as we inhale, opening our arms and just leave them there. And from here, we're trying to bring our left shoulder behind our back, adding a little twist to our torso. Noticing that we're not just moving the arms, it's the torso that it's moving the arms. Inhaling, exhaling, and coming back. We're leaning backwards, bringing our right arm leaning on our rear leg. The left arm comes pointing to the ceiling. And if for whatever reason, if it's better for us to keep the balance, let's bring a block here. You can just use it to keep the balance without leaning too much in it. Or maybe just on our leg. It's up to us.
Before we continue, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.
And then coming back again, opening, inhaling, arms up, and then finding our prayer and bringing it to our heart center, adding another twist here, dragging that left shoulder and our left elbow behind us, behind our back. And if we want a little bit of extra challenge, if it's part of our practice, let's try to meet our right elbow with our left knee. Staying in that twist. And we're going to hold it only one breath. Coming back to center. Inhaling, sweeping our arms up. Exhaling, hands on the mat. Stepping that left foot back. And leaning forward again for our supported or modified plank.
Yoga is a practice to build awareness of our body and mind. And that's the reason yoga is a commitment. When we commit to our yoga practice to experience all the things we're capable of doing, gratitude flows freely and almost instantly, allowing us to spread it around.
Let's bring the right foot to the front. Again, if we need to use our hand in order to bring it to the front, that's fine. For those who is easy to just bring it straight, that's fine. From here, again, we can walk our hands on our legs to straighten up, or just sweeping our arms up, inhaling, exhaling, arms sliding to the front, down, inhaling up, and down, up, inhaling, exhaling, last one, inhaling, exhaling. And here, opening, inhaling, lengthening our arms, and then adding our twist. We are trying to bring the right shoulder behind our back, and remembering that the torso is moving our arms. One more breath. And coming back to center. Again, if we need to have our yoga block nearby, let's just keep it there. And then leaning backwards. We can lean our left hand on our leg or our block. Right hand, it's pointing to the ceiling. And coming back to center. Inhaling up. Exhaling as we bring our prayer to our heart center. And now we're bringing our right shoulder and our right elbow, trying to drag it behind our back, slowly and gently. And for those who want a little bit of an extra challenge, we can try to meet the left elbow with the right knee. If this is not part of our practice, we can just stay straighten up. It's our choice. And slowly coming back to center. Inhaling, sweeping our arms up. Exhaling, planting hands on the mat. Stepping that right foot back. Meeting in a modified or supported plank. Pushing the mat away from us. Inhaling. Exhaling. Our next step. Inhaling, lifting our knees from the mat. Meeting in a full plank or a 45-degree plank. And then exhaling, lifting our hips to the ceiling, to the sky. for our first downward facing dog. Then inhaling again, leaning forward. Exhaling, lifting our hips. Inhaling, leaning forward, meeting in a plank. Exhaling, lifting our hips, pushing the mat to the front with our hands, behind with our feet, trying to tear that mat. Last one, inhaling. Exhaling. Holding this pose for 2 rounds of breath. Inhaling.
If you're not subscribed yet, this is the perfect time to do it and clicking the notifications icon.
Lifting our right foot up for our 3-leg dog. Then bending our knee and bringing that knee close to our chest. Dropping our right foot on the mat. And we're gonna start landing the rear heel, walking with our hands on the long edge of the mat. Bending our knees, adjusting our stance according to our body necessities. So it may be there. And we may use our block here in order to bring the floor closer to our hands. So we can use our block right here, or right here, or maybe here. It's up to us. Let's just soften our knees a little, trying to keep our back straight, trying to reach the floor with our hands. If it's not part of our practice, again, we can always lean on our block. And maybe if we had our knees a little softened there, we can straighten them without locking our joints, embracing that stretch. Maybe softening our knees again, lifting our hips, and bending our knees a little more, using our legs to walk our hands and straighten up, or we can just sweep our arms up and then bending our knees like a really wide squat if we need to sit our hips back to help our knees to stay wide open, lifting our arches, and our arms are coming in this position. This is our goddess. And if this is not part of our practice, we can just set our hands on top of our legs, close to our knees or on the inner side of our knees, and lean on them, helping our knees to stay open. We can add a little bit of twist here. So let's push with our left arm, push the left knee out, twisting our spine to that side. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, and slowly coming back to the center as we start pushing with the right hand, with the right arm, opening that right knee. Inhaling, exhaling, slowly coming back to center, we may be able to find our prayer here. We can do this prayer squat using our elbows to open. And the reason I suggested to keep our 2 yoga blocks handy or a small step is because this may be very useful for our next pose. Here with our prayer, maybe adjusting our stance, closing it a little, using our elbows to open our knees. We can try to barely lean on our blocks. If this is too low for us, we may go for the little step here. And we're not just sitting here. We are barely leaning on the little step, still pushing our knees with our hands. Remembering to breathe deep. And then gently start sitting on our step or our blocks, depending on what we have, depending on what we have. Just sitting here, keep opening, because not all of us have the dorsiflexion here or enough flexibility on our Achilles tendons or the soleus or calf, the deeper calf muscle. So let's just sit here, keeping our back straight. Yoga is another name for self-discipline, but it's also tied to honoring our body. So we may want to hold a pose longer or to go further on the stretch, but challenging our limits should go hand in hand with listening to our body. And from here, we're gonna start gently releasing our arms, releasing that stretching in our legs, maybe leaning more on our block or our step or the meditation pillow we had. We're gonna keep our blocks in hand. So bringing our knees hip width apart, but our feet wider than our hips, untucking our toes and taking to the side, taking away the meaty part of our calves, and just trying to sit on the floor. If this is not part of our practice, we can always count on our yoga blocks. We can just put it here between our feet and then sitting on our block, again trying to leave the meaty part of our calves on the side, keeping our back straight, lengthening our spine here. Inhaling and sweeping our arms up, finding that prayer, and we can bring it just behind our head. If the flexibility in our forearms, our arms, our wrists allow us to do that, we can bring it here, or maybe just pointing down if it's easier for us, just trying to keep our hands together. And we can just stay here, or maybe just here, whatever adjusts better to our body. For some, it would be easy if we just do it behind our back. Either way, with our hands, with our fingertips pointing down right here, or just starting here, forming the prayer, and having our prayer behind our back. And taking just a couple of breaths here. A couple more we already took. And when we're ready, let's release our arms either way we have them. Let's just lean forward, walking with our hands on the mat, opening our knees mat width apart, big toes together, pushing our hips back and down, setting our hips on top of our heels if we can reach. If not, we just pretend that we want a seat on our heels. Our arms can rest on the side of our head or the side of our feet. And if it's possible for us, let's just clasp our hands or touching our fingertips from one hand to the other one, rolling our shoulders back and down to open our chest.
Cultivating an attitude of gratitude can help us stay positive throughout the coming winter.
Let's release our hands, trying to keep them on the side of our feet. If it's not that comfortable, we can just bring them on the side of our face, on the side of our head. And closing our eyes.
Positive affirmations help maintain a good mindset that lights up our soul, connecting us with our inner joy.
Let's bring a little more awareness to our body. Wiggling our fingers and our toes. Let's bring our hands right underneath our shoulders and pushing them out away, keeping our eyes closed. Coming to a kneel seated position, or maybe finding our own comfortable seated position. It's a choice, just trying to keep our eyes closed. Dropping our chin to our chest. Let's open our eyes gently. And sweeping our arms up as we inhale. Catching the blessings from the universe between our hands and bringing them to our heart center. I'm very grateful for my viewers. I'm very grateful for my subscribers. Thank you for watching. Happy Thanksgiving Day. Namaste.